70 years ago, 6 million of our people were murdered in the darkest hour of our history. To paraphrase Megillat Kohelet, there was a time for everything under the sun, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to refrain and a time to learn, a time to remember and a time to forget. Now is the time to remember, to learn and to speak. And tonight, here in New York, in the beautiful Lincoln Square Synagogue, 70 years on from the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, we launch a worldwide project of remembrance and study, which commences this week. In fact, in the UK, it commenced 2 days ago. And globally, throughout 2015, as various countries around the world, fitting in with their schedule, launched a project throughout 2015. And I encourage all of us to be involved for the sake of the past, the present and the future. But this didn't begin in 2015. The concept, the idea of what we're doing tonight began in 1985, when Rabbi Shapira from Kiryat Sanz, a chassid of the Klausenberger Rebbe, was invited to Theresienstadt in Czechoslovakia, 40 years after its liberation. He was representing the Hasidic groups that were wiped out during the Shoah. He was an orphan of the Shoah, and he came along to pay respects and to light a candle for the 6 million. And as he lit his candle, he writes that two thoughts struck him. Firstly, could anything positive be taken out of the Shoah? And secondly, and much more worryingly, was the following thought. He could remember the dark years of 39 to 45. What about his children? What about his grandchildren? How would they remember? He went back to Israel and contacted Yad Vashem. They supplied the names of 30 children who had died in the Holocaust. He gave those 30 names of those 30 children to his class in school and asked each of them to learn Mishnayot in memory of these children. He said to them, these kids, they're your age. They had your hopes, your dreams. They never had a chance to live those dreams. Learn for them. Learn in their memory. It was this simple but beautiful idea that inspired me to embark in 1995, as Rabbi Robinson said, on 50 days for 50 years, when working for the Union of Jewish Students back in 95. And in the room tonight, there is somebody who back then encouraged and inspired me to run the project and to make it such success for students back then. Rabbi Sachs, thank you for then, 20 years ago, and thank you for now as International President. Then 5,000 Jewish students across the UK received the name of a victim of the Holocaust, of a student age, and learnt for 50 days for the 50 years of the past. A chance to remember the past to build the future. And along with the name, the students received a pocket book of 50 questions with answers from scholars, educators, rabbis from across the Jewish world. 10 years on, in 2005, the 60 Days for 60 Years project became an even greater success, with over 100,000 participants worldwide, remembering over 100,000 victims of the Holocaust, again receiving a book of essays and a memorial card. It spread to South Africa, Australia, Canada, Israel, and here in the USA. We're engaged in a global project to remember the past to build the future. Another 10 years have now passed. However, the idea that Rabbi Shapira had in 1985 and we ran in 1995 is as alive and relevant today as it was back then. Then, we remembered 30. In 1995, 5,000. 10 years ago, 100,000. Today, we hope to begin to remember millions. What I want to do now is basically explain to you the power, what we want to do with this project, mainly here in America. The project is very simple. It's been explained in a video by Rabbi Mervis. There's a book containing 70 essays written by some of the greatest scholars in the world today, including Rabbi Berg and the chief Rabbi Andrew, Rabbi Robinson. But the major part of the book is not simply the book itself, it's the card. Every person who does this project globally, and this book is now in Ivrit, it's in French, it's in German, it's going to be in Spanish, it's going to be in Italian. The world is waking up to understanding what you can do with this project. You get a card. Every book is exactly the same. Might be a different language, but it's the same essays, the same concepts. These are unique. Every card has the name of somebody who died in the Holocaust. And it says, I am learning in order to remember there once lived a person named, I have Abraham Friedman. That's my person. That's what I'm learning in memory of. Born in 1908 in Tanamera, died in 1944 in Auschwitz, age 36. This comes from Yad Vashem. Rabbi Shaw Lau, the youngest survivor of Buchenwald concentration camp, told us last Sunday in Yerushalayim, Sunday week ago, there are 4.2 million of these cards, names that we can put on these cards. And the other simply is to make sure that we find people to take a card. A few weeks ago, I was in Auschwitz-Birkenau with a group of non-Jewish students from England. And this week, almost this week, in 1942, there was the Wannsee Conference in Berlin. As Lord Sachs spoke about when they discovered the idea of the final solution of the Jewish question. And in Yad Vashem, in Israel, and in Auschwitz-Birkenau, we have the same table, typed table. On the left-hand side, a list of countries. On the right-hand side, numbers. 3.5 million in Poland, 1.5 million in Russia, 450,000 in the UK, totaling 11 million, the Jews of Europe. That was the final solution, to find every single Jew and wipe them out. I have a list in my office. It's a list of countries, it's a list of Jews. It totals about 14 million. We have such a similar but such a different job. I want every one of those Jews to be involved, to be learning in memory of somebody who never had the chance. In the UK today, about 85,000 Jews are taking part. Across Europe, another 150,000 we hope. But then there's the second biggest Jewry in the world. There's the United States of America, 5.5 million Jews, some estimates. How many American Jews can we get to remember the past to build a future? To me, if you think about it, we have a community in America that is so free, and yet, as we know, is free falling from Judaism. We can use this project to remember the past, yes, but to build their future. When we landed here yesterday afternoon, if you'd have told me I'd be standing here launching 24 hours later, I wouldn't have believed it. But thank God the storm didn't hit as predicted. We can gather here tonight. I want to thank so much the Lincoln Square Shul Rabbi Robinson, dear friend of mine, and Ben Card, who stepped in to help us at last minute to make sure this launch can happen. I'd like to thank the Orthodox Union who are partnering with us here in the US, and to the team from the UK, David Collins, Ian Myers, and Yair Peleg, and of course our trustees have also joined us here from the UK, to come here to say to American Jewry, we believe that we have a tremendous obligation in 2015, 70 years on, because there are many differences between the 60 days and the 70 days. One of them is quite a positive difference. There is now Twitter and Facebook. We are getting tweets and messages from across the globe from people who are connecting to this project in ways that were not possible 10 years ago. But there's a much more daunting and scary message. The world is very different from 10 years ago. And I can recall launching this with Rabbi Lord Sachs 10 years ago, a very different world, with extremism rising across Europe and the Middle East, and a return to the world's oldest hatred. We have to remind ourselves what is the end result of fanatical anti-Semitism, and to steel ourselves to be involved to combat the dehumanization of our people and of our land. But the other message of 70 days is so, so beautiful. To engage with our heritage, to learn 70 essays about what it is to be a Jew today in 2015, and to use our website to learn more, to do more, to understand more. The new book contains questions literally that I think Jews today of all shapes and sizes will be interested in and fascinated by. And the tweets we're getting daily show us that. I want to show you one more thing that is unique to 70 days, if you look at the screen. Because when we started the project, One of our members of our team, Richard Marcus, made a remarkable discovery that in a small way captures the magnitude and horror of the Holocaust. 70 days. What is 70 days? 70 days is 1,680 hours. That's how long 70 days lasts. How many minutes is that? It's 100,800 minutes. How many seconds in 70 days? 6 million seconds. Every single second of this project is a life. Every single second of this project is a person. But every single second of this project is precious. We think today, with today's generation, with our Facebook and our Twitter, and literally what we do with our lives, every second is precious. We can, for 70 days, engage with Jewish learning and Jewish living in memory of the 6 million. Every second that goes, well, we have on the website, 70for70.com, a counter that's counting up from first day, which was 2 days ago, to Pesach, which is the last day. And it's counting seconds, and it says how many seconds since the project began. And if you look at that for a few seconds, it can absolutely terrify you. Every second, I want to say, stop counting up, because every single second is a person. But we have, as I said, more than 6 million Jews alive today, more than 6 million in Israel, as Rabbi Andrew said. We're working now with the Israeli government, with the Israeli community, to try and make sure Israel embraces this project at Yom HaShoah, which in Israel is a major, major part. So I ask you, or I urge you, to get involved. There are books available afterwards for those who wish, with cards and a suggested donation. You can get a Kindle edition, an app to get involved, not simply for the sake of the past, but I think even more importantly, for Jews in 2015 who are the guardians. We are the guardians of our 3,500-year-old heritage. Be a part of one of the most ambitious and inspiring ideas ever attempted in the Jewish world, with an international president who has, for the last 20 years of my life, espoused this idea of remembering the past to build the future. Starting 2 days ago, starting tonight for 70 days till Pesach, we have a chance to remember a past that no longer is. But in those same 70 days, we have a chance to build the future, the Jewish future, which is our future. Thank you very much indeed.